All right, it's time for your week 2 Saturday countdown. ACC football is live and in direct. Let's talk about NC State, Notre Dame. Let's talk about your favorites, Vandy and Wake Forest, and maybe a little more in between. But more importantly than that, we want to get some fan conversations popping because y'all are in your fields, and we want to make sure that we answer some of your questions.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack. Each and every day, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you download and subscribe to the pod from wherever you listen and on our YouTube page. We love it when you talk to us because we certainly talk back. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use a Locked On College as your code for $20 off your first purchase. Kenton Gibbs here, rocking and rolling from Locked On Wolfpack. And I should also say Locked On College Football. He has all the things. He's a radio, hitman. He does all of this football takes, and he is just ready to go on this Saturday morning as we prepare for what will be a very exciting noon to night slate of college football for the ACC.
I mean, hey, I'm only human, I promise you the seal of L on my chest is not real. I don't actually belong to that family. But
More of a Marvel guy?
I'll tell you this much. Superman is a terribly written character, and it's hard to write a character that has as many powers as he does well. But that's another story for another time. We can talk about that some other time, why he's my favorite hero and all that. But that's another story for another time. Long story short, I'm ready to get into some football. We got some ball. I told everybody yesterday that we had to talk the Tez Walker situation and all that, but we are back to on the field and players who are playing this year. So let's get into it.
Yeah, my 2 cents on Tez Walker before we get into this Saturday slate is that at the end of the day, sucks to not be able to play. The NCAA has sucked for a mighty long time, and they still suck, and it's apparent every single day. They are very ironic in some of the things that they roll out in their social plans, and only to really just slap people in the face. And hopefully we get to a place where we are not governed by people who seem to have nothing better to do than police these young men and women. So there's that.
Yeah, the NCAA definitely screwed the pooch on this one, and I think it's I think it's a shame that we can't. The rules are so rigid. There's no flexibility for common sense. If a school canceled their football season, if there was no football, why does that even count towards the free transfer? That transfer shouldn't count at all, in my regard, in my opinion.
Well, I think they got too big for their britches and gave the whole COVID year thing and added a year, and they didn't really know what they were doing. But that's we could go on by all day.
We could go on ad nauseum.
And who could really help us with this is these 2 schools, Vanderbilt and Wake Forest. I know they got some lawyers up in there. I know they got some sports business management people up in there. Wake Forest and Vanderbilt, battle of the nerds type of energy today at 11 a.m. on ACC Network. Vandy is a team that started out 2-0, feeling good about themselves, definitely trying to turn the page on how they're viewed, not only nationally, but from their own conference. And what better way to do it than against a really good, very astute team like Wake Forest, who doesn't make many mistakes, had a really good showing against Elon, but the Demon Deacons are trying to play a little cut above and trying to join the crew that has beaten some SEC teams already this season. The Demon Deacons are going to have a very strong defensive performance yet again. I think that their offense can get them by, but it's going to take, not Herculean talent and, miracles. Certainly it's going to be, their first solid performance of the season.
Yeah, well, Vanderbilt is 10-point favorites in this game, and, rightfully so. I'm sorry, not Vanderbilt. Wake Forest are 10-point favorites in this game, and rightfully so. Yes, Vanderbilt is 2-0, but we all know how I feel about early season games. If you're playing the Island of Misfit Toys University,
Where do you come up with these names?
I'm just with all due respect, I don't put too much weight behind it. I think that Mitch Griffiths and company do what they need to do. I could see this being a 1-score game. I wouldn't bet the house on it. I think Wake Forest takes care of business and do what they're supposed to do in this one.
Yeah, I think being 10-point favorite is definitely something that Coach Clausen and the boys don't take too, seriously. They know they're going to have to come out and play perfect ball. But as we certainly get through what will be a very exciting start to the morning, Wake Forest and Vanderbilt is a good first one. Now, Notre Dame and NC State, one that you would say to yourself, probably would be lovely to be a night game, in my opinion. Being at NC State, being at Carter Finley in Raleigh, I can't see how you go wrong with this matchup today.
Yeah, I too agree that this should be a night game probably, but it is what it is. I think that this is a game that is going to be a huge litmus test for both teams because neither team has played a team that I think qualifies as a quality win per se. I don't think either team has so far, and that's with all due respect to UConn, to Tennessee State, to Navy.
Sure.
I don't think that that's been the case. So with that being said, this is a game that it'll say a lot for both teams. It's a measuring stick game for both teams. Many people are surprised that the Irish were only 7.5-point favorites in this one. I'll say this: Sam Hartman has never won a game in Carter Finley Stadium. As long as he was the quarterback of Wake Forest, he's never won a game in Carter Finley Stadium. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, that just is because Wake Forest defense was bad. Wrong answer, forehead. Sam Hartman, I believe, has thrown 5 or 6 picks in his 2 visits to the Carter combined. So,
and let's help. Defense. NC State's defense didn't get exponentially worse. You know what I mean? Yeah. Their secondary isn't some chumps, right? You got guys that are coming over and are certainly ready to, make names for themselves, especially on a Saturday afternoon. And I think that more than that, Peyton Wilson being ACC player of the week he's ready to have one of his last hurrahs. He's played up against Sam a time or two, so he's very familiar with his game. And I think it's not going to be much different. But from an offensive standpoint, Brennan Armstrong, what are we getting? Are we going to get some vanilla? Are we going to open the playbook? Like what are we going to get from that from that backfield? Excuse me. What do you feel like offensively NC State has to do today?
And I mean, you and I are both very big in the trenches people. We are very much so people who believe that the trenches are going to win and lose you the football game. And that's what you asked about this question, even when you want to talk about Brennan Armstrong, because we didn't get to see Robert and I open up the playbook last week, not because Brennan Armstrong can't push it down the field, but because the offensive line was losing one-on-one matchups. And that's what I think is one of the best things that could possibly happen to you in a early season win against a quote-unquote cupcake team is for you to get humble, for you to win that game, but learn some lessons along the way. And I think that happened with NC State to the point where, this game, again, is going to be about both offensive and defensive lines who can get done what they want to get done. If Notre Dame can run the ball effectively, if Estime and company are, if they're having a parade inside the end zone all day, it's going to be a long day for NC State. However, if NC State can provide a clean pocket for Brennan Armstrong, I'll say this. I think that Notre Dame has very good outside corners. Other than that, in terms of their guys in coverage, all those fifth-year linebackers they got, I think they're excellent coming downhill. When you talk about making those boys backpedal, gowns, beautiful gowns, wonderful, beautiful gowns. Not sure if that's their strength necessarily. So, this is going to be a game that who wins in the trenches will win the game. I can guarantee that.
We love the trenches, baby. Yes, Lord. All right, Purdue and Virginia Tech. 12 o'clock on ESPN2. Purdue certainly is a team. If we're talking about trying to just take infinity stones from other P5s, right? Big Ten, Purdue, Virginia Tech. I don't know if I want that to be our staple, but we got to go with. The Hokies coming off a solid win against ODU. Ollie Jennings doing the damn thing. Grant Wells doing the best he can with what he got. Defense holding up just enough. Purdue is not a great team. However, they are better than ODU. Virginia Tech is going to have to give their best, and they're playing at home. I'm here for it. I just need them to. It's going to be a big one for them. This is a I wouldn't say marquee matchup, but it's definitely one where we see really where Virginia Tech is at. They might move up in the power rankings with this win.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They would definitely move up in the power rankings with this win. But let me tell you something. So generally speaking, Vegas says that at home field advantage is worth about 3 points. Do you know how many points Virginia Tech is favored by?
2 points.
2.5. They're favored by 2.5. So Vegas is saying, we not sure. No.
And
we gotta go with
to
somebody.
not be sure because of Lane is at Lane Stadium is kind of crazy. But here we go.
Yeah. And I was just about to say that is one of the, again, from their entrance through the final whistle being blown, Lane Stadium hits different. It is a different type of a deal there. I'm just glad for Purdue that this isn't a night game, or else that would be Hokies by 10. But with that being said, I'm going to stick with one statement that I said last week, carry it over into this week. The team with Ollie Jennings on the field will win the ball game. I know that was, I know he played for ODU, and that's why I said it last week, but I'm going to stick with it this week. I don't think that Purdue quite has the answer for that. And again, I hate to go against some of my Cass Tech guys up there, Jalen Graham and all that. I did it last week, and I lost with NIU. Shout out to Mr. Esther. But with that being said, I think that Virginia Tech has just enough to get it done.
1,000%. All right, let's get to some of our conversations around a couple other teams. But first, we got to pay some bills like we love to do. If you have not yet, please make sure you get your chance to get some Nutrafol. As you know, you don't have to choose between hair growth and your health. Nutrafol provides a whole body health approach for men that promotes healthier hair. No drugs, no compromises, just better hair. Men think losing their hair is inevitable. Take control of your hair's future with Nutrafol's science-backed hair growth and supplement for men. Did you know that 80% of men will experience hair thinning in their lifetime? It's normal, but it doesn't have to be your fate. You can get ahead of the thinning with Nutrafol. This is my favorite ad read for many reasons. Nutrafol is #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting root causes of thinning, such as stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, lifestyle, and metabolism through whole body health. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Nutrafol.com/men, promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Very much my favorite read here at Locked On Podcast Network because I get to read it with my guy, Kenton Gibbs. We're talking through ACC football week 2. Holy Cross and Boston College, keys to winning.
Well, Boston College's keys are simple. That offensive line has to be who they say they are. They say the team takes on the personality of the head coach. And it seems to me, with all due respect to Mr. Mahogany, it seems to me that the offensive line have also become snake oil salesmen. They need to be physically imposing. They need to show Holy Cross from snap 1. Y'all are not us, and we are not you. Yeah. We are not on the same level. We are not the same type of thing. That needs to be apparent right away. Because if not, I'll tell you what, if that offensive line plays around, they will find out.
Hafley gets fired if he doesn't win this game.
Oh, 1,000%. Hafley doesn't make I mean this very seriously. Hafley may not make it to the team bus. He may not make it to the team bus as head coach if they lose this game.
Yeah, without a doubt.
They've never lost to a group of 5 team before Hafley. Never lost to a group of 5. So you're looking at a program that is hitting unprecedented lows, and you think that they're just gonna it's okay. It's only year 4. He'll figure it out. No, you're going in the wrong direction, brother. You got to go.
Hafley does not make it on the bus. Hey, I'm here for it because at this point, we are all trying to elevate this ACC game. We can't have, fall or behinders, whatever that word is. What is the word?
People who are dragging us down, anchors tethering us to the ground pretty much.
You love a good phrase. And speaking of not bringing us down, James Madison, Virginia, I'm looking at you, big guy. All right. Tennessee, we charged into the game. We sort of knew what it was. But that offense is going to have to do. 3 and outs cannot be your.
Don't look at them. Okay. Don't look at them. If you're looking for somebody to not drag the ACC down, don't look at them. Don't look. In the words of Daniel Caesar, please do not lean on them. They're unstable. Okay. Let me tell you something right now. What Virginia's offense did best last week was run the football. That team James Madison stopped the run better than everybody in the nation except some team in Athens called the Bulldogs. That was the only team that stopped the run at a better clip than them last year. So with that in mind, this is going to be, James Madison is favored by 6.5. I am not a financial advisor. I am not a bettor myself. But if I were a betting man, give me the house, take out a second mortgage, put it down on JMU. I'm not making that advice. I am not making that as advice.
You did already do your picks this week, right?
Yeah, and I picked James Madison.
Okay, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you doubling down, you tripling down, really on.
Again, I'm telling you, it. Listen, so here's the thing. For those who don't know this about me, I watch a lot of film. I watch these games and like break down what I see from the teams and what I see from individuals. And the deeper we get into the week, the more I get to watch these different teams. I start off with NC State, of course, because I got a separate podcast for NC State I got to do and all that. But throughout the week, I get more and more and more film. I'm telling you, that Virginia team, hopefully Chico Bennett is back.
Gonna be huge.
And hopefully he's firing at a high clip because he's their last saving hope on that defense to cause some turnovers because the defense played well last week. I'll give them their props.
It was not the defense fault whatsoever. They got tired. They can only do so much when you get 3 and out after 3 and out after 3 and out.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying Chico needs to cause a turnover. They don't just need stops. You need to take the ball away in plus position.
But see, here's the thing. They did get turnovers. They did have Tennessee rattle a little bit. But when they got favorable field position, the offense wasn't able to capitalize. So if you can't do that,
and they missed a 28-yard field goal.
If you can't get turnovers, baby, what are we talking about? If you can't capitalize on them, I should say.
And that's what I'm saying. Notice I didn't say Chico Bennett needs to create a turnover. He needs to create turnovers. He needs to be all over that quarterback like white on rice.
Or hear me out. Virginia needs to march down that field. I don't know. Anyway, let's not belabor the point on Virginia.
What needs to happen and what is going to happen is folks need to pay their card note or else that card go get took away. I'm still getting calls from ally. Hey friend, what's going on, big head? We got that's just reality.
South Carolina State, Georgia Tech, another good matchup. I think Georgia Tech wins this one handily, similar to how Louisville was able to get a big dub against Murray State. This is sort of a pick-me-up game. Louisville did the damn thing, 56-0 shutout. They might actually be a little something. They might move up on our power rankings chart next week. But I think Georgia Tech also needs to sort of pick me up after that Louisville loss, and I think they're going to get that against South Carolina State.
I'm so sorry to see Coach Buddy from South Carolina State having a very tough exit campaign. He's having his farewell tour, and the first game against Jackson didn't go well. This game ain't gonna go well either. Y'all know how we feel about Brent Key on this here show. I know we're gonna show love to Brent on this here show, and this is another one that it's not gonna be close. Not gonna be close at all.
Charleston Southern and Clemson, speaking of another not so close game, Clemson needs a pick-me-up, and this is going to be a good pick-me-up game for them. Now, what is it from Clemson I think we want to see more? Because I don't necessarily think you open up your playbook against Charleston Southern, right? But from a defensive standpoint, I wouldn't even say defense was necessarily the problem last week. It's just all around not their best ball.
There's nothing Clemson can show me in this game that would have me convinced. There's nothing. Nothing. Now, with that being said, I do still want to see a clean football game from them. I want to see them execute at the moment of truth and all that, because that's really what got them against Duke. The moment of truth. You get to the red zone four or five times and you miss 2 field goals. You have a couple turnovers down there. The moment of truth is whooping y'all ass right now. And I never thought I'd say that about Clemson.
Yeah.
But the moment of truth done took the belt off and spanked that baby thoroughly. I'm ready to call CPS. So with that in mind, the idea here is just play a clean game of football. Kicker, make a kick, please.
Yeah.
And not just the kicker, protection. Block somebody, please.
Special teams definitely had a long afternoon with that one, without a doubt. Let's talk about some of our afternoon games here starting at 3:30. But first, want to remind you guys about our friends at Gametime. Forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, and more. The Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem Locked On College for $20 off. Download the Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Started with this afternoon slate at 3:30. The strong afternoon games, you're getting off and you're figuring out first round of games is done. Even though Clemson will be at 2:15, you still 3:30 is what you try everything. You're waking up feeling good, had a good breakfast. Miami is going to be another game that probably should have been at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. would have been exciting. But being at home, the Canes can really take down a top 25 opponent and show us that they are back, ready to go. Lighted and loaded. Cam Kitchens and the boys, don't play with us.
I don't want to hear that Miami is back. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You know, save them lies for somebody who want to hear it. But what I will say is this: there's a lot of fraud alert in this game. There's a lot of fraud alert
from many sides. Yeah,
Jimbo is big time on fraud alert. There's a lot of looks at him. Hey, brother, what's going on? You ain't had success in Florida since Jameis was stealing crab legs. What's going on, brother? What's happening? What's happening? And on the other side, Mario and the crew, he's in year 2. This is game 2 of year 2, so it's not necessarily as deep. But there are still questions about, objectively speaking, Texas A&M got the best team that money can buy, and money ain't bought them no wins. So, what does that look like in terms of if you lose to a team that has struggled mightily so far, and if you're one of the only ACC teams to lose to an SEC team in these first couple of weeks? Yeah, eyes are going to be watching you. But I do think that this is going to be a good back and forth game. I think Miami pulls this one off.
I agree. I think that this is going to be a get-back game that they know if they had played and executed a little bit differently last year, it would have been a better outcome. And I think it's all about discipline and staying smart, not getting too high on yourself and not getting too low, just stay in the game for all 60 minutes. And I definitely think that's something that Miami can do. Now let's talk about Syracuse, who has their first home opener against Western Michigan. Don't see this being too crazy of a game, but Syracuse, again, keep that train rolling with that execution, same as you did with Colgate. It'll be at 3:30 on ESPN+.
Western Michigan, protect yourself. Dino, you go ahead and put some numbers up on that board, up the score, brother. You got to, tougher times are ahead. So do what you need to do early to get Schrader and company out the game early, because we've seen what this team looks like without Schrader last year.
That's true.
You don't want to play around and have him taking extra hits because you want to go too conservative with the playbook, and you want to make sure that, we don't want to show nobody nothing. Listen, get him out the game early.
Yeah. As quick as possible. Another get-back game that we have here starting at 5:15 for our early evening matchup. North Carolina and App State. North Carolina opening up at Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill, and they're feeling like this is another get-back game. They were in App State last season. Fourth quarter sort of got the best of this defense, and I know that they remember that. Can they do a fourth quarter shutout? Can they do a whole shutout? Who knows? But I feel like they can't rest on what happened last week against South Carolina. I don't think that, you get too high on yourselves, but Tar Heels have always done me dirty when it comes to being high on them, so I just have to be even keel.
I'll tell you what, that defense, they made a huge statement last week. They said, rip me out the plastic. I've been acting brand new last week. They made it tough on Spencer Rattler. Every single, if you go back and watch that game, every single pass that he completed, well, not every single, but a majority of the passes he completed, they literally were like, Spencer Rattler is a special arm talent. And you saw it at multiple points because he's throwing from awkward angles, throwing on the run, all that good stuff. Can this defense sustain a level of play that's near that? Because like I said last week, that level of play is not sustainable. Negative rushing yards, you're not going to go through the season. They're on pace right now, if you average out what they did by 12, to allow negative 24 rushing yards this season. That's not going to happen. right? Of course, that's not going to happen. But if they can play near that level, especially against the App State team that is objectively not supposed to be on their level, well, this could be a really great time, and all the folks in Keenan will be partying and celebrating.
1,000%. Listen, minus 19.5 is what I got, and let's just get 2 touchdowns. Let's make sure the clock hits 0, then I'll feel better. That's just how I roll.
Yeah, I'm not sure about 19.5, but I don't think that UNC loses this one.
Nah, Lafayette and Duke. In past years, we would have been like, all right, Duke, this is the game that we need to show and prove and blah, 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 blah. And like now we're saying, all right, Duke, roll on and roll over and keep it pushing. Let's get to 2-0.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, this is a game where, Duke used to be the team that this would be like their battle game. This would be you got to fight for your life to win it. This is a game where Duke needs to go ahead, put them away early, show that y'all got some better hands. It's raining out here a little bit. It's thundering out here a little bit and all that good stuff. Hopefully that stops by game time. But Jalen Calhoun, brother, show us those hands because was looking. The lights looked real bright in Wallace Wade last week. They looked real bright. Now,
well, everyone's coming with these new LED light systems, and I'm wondering if coaches are like, "Hey, tone it down a bit, just a bit for our guys."
I'll tell you what. LED lights, the regular light bulbs, if they light 1,000 candles, you need to hold on to that football, brother. You need to hold on to that football.
When that thing
hits this here little diamond, all I'm saying is this. I'm not a Delta, nor am I a part of Rock Nation, but when you throw your hands up like this and that ball hit it, you ought to catch that thing.
Whew. There was a joke there. I'm going to leave it there.
Don't do it.
Cincinnati and Pitt have a great game ahead of us as well. Wouldn't say it's a marquee matchup for the ACC, but still a good one nonetheless. If you are a Louisville guy and you want to see Satterfield go down, this is the game for you. Okay, Pat Narduzzi, I'm sure, wants to get a look back somewhere, and this is the game to do it. This is a game to me where, of course, Pitt won last week. We weren't really, paying too much attention to it. I would cock my head if they beat Cincinnati and do it handily.
Hello, Satterfield, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. It looks like he just can't get enough of the ACC, but I disagree. I think that this is a marquee matchup for the ACC because Cincinnati's going to the Big 12, and everybody told me that, Ken, you don't know Jack Diddley about the Big 12, and we've got all these heavy hitters coming as well as the heavy hitters that are already there. We won't miss Texas. We won't miss Oklahoma. We've got some killers on the way. Well, what better way for the ACC to send a statement to the country than to say, we beat the SEC in week 1. Now what? We beat the SEC in week 2. Our nerds are better than your nerds. Miami is better than your team that's bought up everybody and their mama. And we're looking at the Big 12 now saying, didn't y'all have a season where every team that played a Sunbelt team lost to that Sunbelt team? Wasn't that year very recently, including your conference champion? Oh, okay. We're going to whoop on the teams that are about to come in there to show you where you belong in this thing. So guess what, Narduzzi? You got the whole city on your, I'm sorry, not the whole city, the whole conference on your back, brother. You need to go out there and at least cover this 7 points. But I want to see you break a foot off in some Bearcat behind.
All right, let's run through the wall with that energy. I wish this was like Instagram Live where you could have hearts that happen while you're streaming so people could like what you're saying and you could be like, oh yeah, because like the way that was intense, I feel like there were so many hearts on that one. People who are watching live on our show. Yeah, drop a heart if you really enjoy what Kenton like that. Kenton, sometimes he gets into football mode and like ready to run through a brick wall. It's like I definitely took my monster drink and like that's how I felt after that.
Listen, I know that CD and Peninsula P are probably tailgating right now. That's the only reason we don't see hearts in the chat right now.
Tailgating at 6 for a 6:30 game.
You know what? You got to set up. You got to set up now.
Hail the pit. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to set up for the tailgate, and then you do. That showed me that Candace, you wasn't the tailgater that did the setting up. You just showed up, was pretty. You got your drinks, and you got your food, and you got on the way. As a guy who sets up, I'm gonna tell you, if you setting up, you got to be out there at least 5 to 6 hours early. At least 5 to 6 hours early to get everything ready, get everything prepared. Because when the people like you show up, we don't want you waiting there. when is the
we
when
love
are the
some
ribs coming out the
hospitality,
grill?
right? No. So here's the thing. I always show up with my sunglasses and my solo cup, and I'm ready to ride. Okay. I need my biscuit, I need my mimosa, and then I'm just ready to have good time. Champagne for the campaign, we do what we got to do. I wouldn't say champagne is my only way because I'm just here to make sure I remember parts of the game, the key moments.
Yeah. See, and again, I'm just the guy that shows up and helps set up. So if Peninsula P and DC are those guys, they probably out there setting up right now so that the folks like you can show up and get their champagne for the campaign, show up and get their biscuits, show up and get their, get their food and libations and whatnot. So, but I'll tell you what, Narduzzi, this still don't change the scenario for you, brother. It don't matter. You need to break a foot off in some Bearcat behind. They need to be burping out Pitt Panther for the next week. And I'll say that much.
We're going to end here with Southern Miss and Florida State. Listen, Florida State, you did the damn thing. Don't make it close. Don't give anybody any reason to cock their head and say, all right, maybe they're not. I think this is a type of game you come out healthy. You run a couple plays. You don't do too much, but you certainly put yourself in a position to, keep that train moving forward, get the stats going, right? Get enough stats to make you feel good as you're making your Heisman campaign arguments, right? But then get on out of Dodge, like third, fourth quarter, let's get the B team in, C team maybe, all those types of things.
Yeah, listen. Florida State needs to dominate in this game, okay?
Sure.
Their wide receiving core, people were thinking to themselves, well, you got Johnny Wilson 1A and Keon Coleman 1B. And Keon Coleman said, I'm not sure you all know what you're dealing with here. I'm going to call for the fade ball whenever I want to get it. And guess what? Nobody's going to be able to stop me. With that being said, again, this shouldn't be close. Whoop on Southern Miss early. Get the real ball players out the game. No offense to the young guys who are coming along and they're figuring out their way and all that. Let the young guys get in. Let the guys who are going to hit the transfer portal next year get in and get their film and all that good stuff. Granted, of course, teams don't know that you're going to hit the transfer, but you get what I'm saying. The young guys who are looking to play big-time snaps and all that and haven't done so far, let them go ahead and get in because this Southern Miss team, they're not a terrible group of 5 team, but they're just a group of 5 team. They're not exactly there right now.
1,000% agree. Well, those are week 2 keys to winning, marquee matchups and the like. And we always appreciate when you guys come in and stop by, talk to us throughout our YouTube live chat. Every time we go live, we always have a great time with our fans. So make sure that if you ever see us live, you hop on in, get your comments off, and you tell us how you feel. We will be back on Monday to talk through how we did. We've been ranking. Kenton will have the week 3 polls up by Sunday, so we can make sure that we're ready to go.
The week 3 polls are already up.
Oh my God. That's why they pay you the top dollar. Okay, you guys got 5 shows. You don't know how to act. Okay, period. So we want to make sure that we put y'all in a great position to not only thrive and see where we're at for week 2 recap, but how we're looking for week 3. Fans right now are in the lead, but only by 1 game. They clearly know more than we do, Kenton, but that's how that goes. For Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs, we hope you guys enjoy game day. If you're tailgating, if you're having popping bubbly, if you're doing anything that you want out there, make sure you're safe and smart with it. And we'll see you guys next week. For Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs, until next time.